Today we have the privilege of chatting with Fleur from Rahab Ministries on the Central Coast. This ministry is very interesting, and it's reaching out to a group of women who are often not reached and sometimes even forgotten. This group of women, they're working in brothels, and the ministry that Fleur is involved with, called Rahab Ministry, is working on reaching out to them and sharing with them the love of Jesus and helping to build relationships with them. Fleur, I just want to thank you for joining me today on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm very excited to have a chat with you. I've been reading a little bit about what you've been involved in, and can you just give us a little bit of background about the ministry, about Rahab Ministry?
So the ministry in general started in South Australia. So they've been running for many, many years now. I think it's around 13. So my connection with that was reading the book Scars and Stilettos by Harmony Dust. I'll just grab it.
Yeah, I've actually read this book before, Scars and Stilettos. What's it about?
So it's about a girl who was brought up in a really abusive way, I guess you might say, and who actually became a stripper and then came to Christ, and how she ministers to others on Las Vegas Strip, and they have a huge ministry in America. So when I read that story, it opened up, well, I guess the Holy Spirit was talking to me and wouldn't let me leave it alone. So I had a real yearning and passion to have an understanding in Australia if these things were happening here, like strip clubs. I knew they were around, but and brothels and things, but I had no idea how many or where.
Yeah, it's not often that you hear about ministries within the Christian church, that are specifically for strippers or for women who are working in brothels. And often we do just read, these kind of books and just continue on. But you said that something happened to you when you read this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just from dreams to the Holy Spirit just kept speaking into my heart and just wouldn't go away. And also I said to the Holy Spirit that whatever you want me to do, then I'll do it. So I guess that yearning, and then one thing led to another. So I looked in the back of the book, found a contact address and emailed America, and they sent me a number for King's Cross or that area for the ministry that was running there, and I connected in with them to start. So
that was your first glimpse into this world of what was happening. And what happened after you went to King's Cross? Did you discover that the ministry was what you really expected it to be? Were you shocked or?
Yeah, not really. I guess after reading her book, it sort of opened up what it potentially is like. I guess in a sense of just praying through the outreach at the time that when I was on it, asking God to show me the direction and how, I guess I was concerned of maybe how I would react in that moment, but nothing but respect and love for these girls and wanting them to just know that they are loved by Jesus.
That's really beautiful. And then from there, so that wasn't Rahab's ministry at that time, King's Cross.
It was called Club Love.
Club Love. So how did you then get involved with Rahab?
I realised that going to the cross every month was probably out of my scope of timing, regards my busyness and living on the Central Coast. So a friend of mine contacted me and said, I've been out on outreach with Rahab in South Australia and I think you should talk to them. So that was the connection point for me to make contact.
So what exactly happens when you go and you minister to these ladies and you start building relationships? So you contacted them, you went on the Central Coast. So say it's this evening, for example, and you're going out to start doing some ministry with Rahab's ministry. What's involved in it?
Okay, so what happens tonight is we meet at McDonald's and then at around 6:30 and then we head out in the cars and then we start praying as we're driving to each brothel. And then whoever's being led by the Holy Spirit are the ones that go in. So 2 go in at a time and the rest are in the car praying.
See, this sounds really different from, other ministries that I've heard about. Usually, there's a schedule and we know who's going out to do things, but it sounds like I keep hearing you mention things about prayer and the Holy Spirit and how important it is. How would you say that those things play into your ministry and into reaching out to the women in the brothels?
it's paramount. If we're not being led by the Holy Spirit, we're not going in and we're not going out.
Have there been times where you felt like it's not right to go into this particular brothel tonight?
Yes. Yeah.
I think in the Western world, sometimes we don't associate ministry with danger, but as you're talking, it sounds like there might be some dangerous elements to some of what you're doing.
It's the unknown, and we're going in on someone else's territory. So for God to open the doors for us to get into that territory, he can do anything. And it's just so amazing to have those doors open. But when he closes doors too, it's important to recognise.
You have to listen to it.
Yeah, when they're shutting.
So how did those doors get open in the first place? How do you find yourself even able to visit a brothel? I'm sure you don't just knock on the door and just, walk right in.
Well, really we do. Initially, we would call and make an appointment to see the manager, but we found that was not very helpful because we'd end up at the appointment time and they'd say, no, sorry. So what we've done since then is just turn up, basically, and they'll either indicate, now's a good time, you can see the girls, or they're all busy. So we leave gifts and pray with the manager if he's open for that. And we're praying for them all anyway. They just don't know.
So you're praying with them you know. And then are they open? Are they receptive? Are the managers open to being prayed for or having the girls prayed for?
Really receptive. Yeah. One manager said you should come every night and pray. So, just recognising that the clients, the manager and the girls are all God's children. So our focus, yes, is the girls, but just recognising that they're all his children.
Sometimes some people think there are some places we shouldn't go, that maybe God isn't there, but as you're talking, it sounds like you have a different perspective.
Yeah. Jesus is there. The Holy Spirit's there. It's just incredible, and it's a real honour to be in that space. And it's a privilege to be with the women and to hear their stories if they're allowed that time and space to share.
Are they open to sharing their stories?
Some are.
Yeah. Some of them must be hard to listen to and to really feel their pain and understand what might have happened in their lives.
Yeah, they don't go into great detail, like you get a picture, but you don't get the full picture, if that makes sense, because in these places, of course, they're monitored, so there'll be cameras everywhere and managers listening, or even other women that are there that could dob them in or whichever. So it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
But when we actually have coffee with them outside of the brothels, that's a different thing because we can start to build a relationship and chat.
So what are some of the ministries? So you've mentioned that you can actually go into the brothels and visit their coffee chats. Is there anything else that your ministry is doing?
Well, we had the baby shower for one of the girls, and that was just such a blessing because the family that they know is the brothel. So to see families and to experience that kind of love was just beautiful.
And I know you have here a basket. So you mentioned that at Christmas time, you're able to pass out baskets to the ladies.
Yes.
What usually is in the basket?
Okay, so what's in the basket is anything from body washes, beautiful soaps, anything beautiful and that we would like to receive ourselves
that
as a
women
gift.
Love,
that women love. Even scarves. We've given teddy bears, chocolate, roses. Yeah. So it's
universal, the things that women like and that they like to receive.
Yes.
And then also I see here that you have, this, I can't read the language that this is in. It looks like it might be Thai. But,
that one is.
Yeah. And you said it's God's love letter.
Yeah, Father's love letter.
Father's love letter. Yeah. So first, why is it in Thai? Why? I would just think everything in here might be in English. I see this one here is in Chinese. Yeah.
Because the girls that we meet, they're from all different countries.
Oh, so you see a wide variety of people from different places.
Yeah. So predominantly Chinese, Thai, English.
And that's what the materials that you're providing are in those languages.
Yeah. And on the website for the Father's Love Letter, you can print out in any language, which is really helpful.
So are the women receptive to receiving things like that? Of course, women, we love receiving gifts like, scarves and lotions and flowers, but are they also receptive to receiving things, spiritual things as well?
Yeah, there's some that go, no, sorry, I'm Buddhist or whichever, but often they're very open to it, like the ones that are open to it. For instance, like the Bibles, you might have noticed, are in different languages as well that we give out. And we had one girl take one out of the basket and put it down her dressing gown and then run to read it. So it was just beautiful. Yeah, and the Father's Love Letter, because it's in their language, they'll often just stand there immersed in it and just hold it close. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're in an English-speaking country and it's not your first language and you see something written in your language, it just probably draws you in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're excited.
And do you find that you have people volunteering readily to be part of the ministry?
Yes.
Do you need more volunteers? Is there anything that your ministry needs?
Volunteers are always welcome because the Holy Spirit sends who's meant to go that night. I believe that whoever's come out that night is there for a purpose, and whoever they're meant to see, they'll be able to engage with that person on the way they can minister to them. So depending on all those things, so the Holy Spirit does all that.
Is there any training that the women receive before, going into the brothels? Is there any, kind of you giving them kind of background information, or are they just going in with you? Or
Yeah, so we have a training night when I can arrange one. We often do 2 a year, so depending on the need. And so what happens with that is just going through what to do when you're entering the brothel, what to say, what not to say, to be a breath of fresh air for 10 minutes, if necessary, then get out or get out earlier if you need to.
yeah.
And also just going through things like trafficking, stuff like that as well, just to have an awareness of those things.
So is this happening much more than we probably realize? Because you just mentioned trafficking. In many places this is legal. So some people might say, oh, the women are there, of their own free will.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Or is there some sense that there is some trafficking happening as well?
There's some sense. I like how you put that because I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But there's things that sometimes don't make sense or add up. So, yeah, I'm sure that it's happening. I just don't know how much or where.
Yeah.
But have a sense of that. Just because of the way managers are, sometimes they seem to be, a little overpowering.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe not.
Not all of us can maybe have the courage to go into the brothels and feel called that this is our ministry. It seems like after you read the book, you just felt called. You were compelled that this was your ministry. And not everyone has that sense, but they may want to help you. With Rahab's ministry, they may have watched and, really felt compelled that what you're doing is something they want to be a part of. What can they do to be a part of the ministry?
But ways that people can be a part of Rahab is prayer ministry is the biggest thing. Without prayer, we go nowhere. We're stationary. So prayer, and then, of course, volunteering. You have to be over 18 to be a volunteer to come out on the outreach. But people can volunteer to pack gifts or things like that. But also, if they want to donate, they can donate, and everything goes to the girls. So nothing's put into administration or whatever, because there is none.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that most everyone's a volunteer
Yes.
who's helping with Rahab's ministry. So everything that they're donating is going towards the ministry itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's really important if
absolutely.
people feel that they can pray for the ministry, they can, give some of the gifts that we've seen here that are in the basket, or help pack the gifts as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then there's training for those women who feel compelled to be part of the ministry and to go in and be that breath of fresh air that you said and build those relationships.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was just going to say, because every volunteer has their own story and their own love language to be able to share with the girls. So, they meet and connect on whatever the Holy Spirit's led them to connect with.
Well, I just want to say thank you for being with us here today. Like, I loved hearing about the women's stories, and I love hearing how you valued the women for who they are. Now, if you're interested in being part of this ministry, if you're interested in being part of Rahab or helping Fleur with what's happening here on the Central Coast, you can check out the website that's at the bottom of your screen, rahab.com.au, and you can see if you'd like to be part of this ministry and how you can donate. I'd like to thank you again for being with us today.
Thanks, Rachel, for having me.